Hello everybody and welcome to year 4 of the Frost Clan series. It has been forever since I last said that, and I do want to quickly explain I do not know the foreseeable future for these videos. It might be one per week, might be one per month. We will have to see. Also, I started filming this video months ago, back when the decline in videos first started, and had to redo a lot of the characters. I also chose a bit more flexible style for the cats. In my opinion, it looks both more realistic and also like they're made out of noodles. You'll see what I mean in a second. But yeah, also, it has been so long since I interacted with the clan at all that I've honestly forgotten a lot of the main plots I was looking towards. So either I'm going to have to rewatch the series, or, and I think this is funnier, I just go along with it, as if, I'm not saying nonsense. So I hope you guys enjoy, and, let's hop into it. Alright, so like always, we start off with our StarClan cats, and this one in particular is a pretty brutal and tragic death, and a cat I was not excited to say goodbye to, Bud Chase. He died in the most Bud Chase way I could possibly think of, in a fight defending his mother. Only 2 moons before his death, a war between Bat Clan and Frost Clan broke out. In one of the many bloody battles, a warrior from Bat Clan had Granite cornered. Bud Chase saw this and stepped in to save his mother, but it cost him his own life. Okay, so next up we have another very tragic death. Grander. At the beginning of the year, Grander and Nightrun announced that they were mates. There were a few whispers saying that they might have been mates before coming to the clan, but the 2 of them wouldn't say anything on those. Shortly after their announcement, an old friend of theirs approached them. It was a Tom named Ember. He begged them to follow him, just for a moment, and when they did, he led them to a makeshift nest where 3 small kits lay. He told them he didn't know how to take care of them, and begged them to take them. And so, of course, they did, bringing the 3 small kits back to camp with them. But when they ventured back to the nest, hoping to invite him to stay with the clan, he was gone, the scent of blood still in the air. Then, on the very same moon she fell ill with green cough, Nightrun found 3 more kits that they both adopted, but sadly, the green cough killed her before they even became apprentices. And the last of our StarClan cats is Stone Peak. Dying at 140 moons, he slowly grew out of his silliness and became a very righteous and amazing healer. He lost his life due to yellow cough. He has had such an important impact on the clan, albeit he came into the clan kind of as an old man already. He never had an old man energy to him, and even after he joined the Elder's Den, he really was a kit at heart. As always, the first of our living cats is Auburn Star. She started off the year with a runny nose, and then quickly got into a fight with a badger that ended up mangling her tail. Luckily, she was able to heal without any scarring. Shortly after Bud Chase's death, she was caught sneaking out of camp multiple times to go visit the grave sites. Later on towards the year, she lost 2 of her lives, one to something she didn't see, and the other to an ambush from rogues. I believe that the unseen creature was also a rogue, perhaps the same rogue that killed her in the second ambush. It is important to note that the clan has started theorizing that perhaps BatClan might be working alongside many of the rogues taking refuge in our territory, as shortly after all major attacks by BatClan, there was also quickly an ambush that followed. Auburn Star is still extremely cold towards everyone and hasn't quite fully gotten back into a leadership role, but she has been trying to take that role back, and it's caused a bit of problems. Moving on to our deputy, Otterpur. He has slowly drifted from his loving self into a more lonesome cat. He cares deeply about the clan, but due to some rumors that have been spreading throughout the camp, he is seen as unreliable now. He didn't do anything to warrant this, but Brightcrest has noticed he started acting very strange. And speaking of Brightcrest, she's up next. She was very happy to find her tail healing, but it did grow infected right before so, which caused the scar to last. She was also caught multiple times having random conversations with cats just on the border. We never interacted with any of these cats and didn't get a lot of information on them, but the camp has been wondering exactly what that was about for quite some time now. Now that she's healed, she's started taking her medicine cat duties a lot more seriously. And with the one cat that stepped up to try to help having such a hard time recently, she's very focused on helping him. The effects of all of the whispers going around the camp saying that pretty much this whole war is Otterpur's fault because he was in charge when it first started has really gotten to him. He is one of the very few cats that know that, in fact, it was Auburn Star that called for war. He had no part in it. And he's ended up sharing this with Brightcrest, who is unable to tell the clan of this due to Otterpur's own wishes of not wanting the clan to turn on Auburn Star. But she's now forced to watch as he struggles with not knowing how to continue being deputy. Our next cat is actually not a warrior. He is our first official mediator. His name is Owlfur, and he's 104 moons old, and very strict but a skilled mediator, and he's shown that to the clan. I will also admit, I had an idea for his backstory, but I never ended up actually writing it down. I think it had something to do with him potentially knowing Flutterheart, but I don't exactly remember why I had that. Other than the in-game reason for him being in our territory was that he was pushed aside by a flood at his old territory, which lines up with Flutterheart's story. Next up is Cloudmask, and like always, he had a pretty rough year. To start off, his leg was giving him even more issues this year. He found more often that he could barely stand and was often caged to the nurses or warrior's den for days on end. But in this, he did find one thing that made him smile. A very loving, but kind of confusing mate. We'll talk more about her later on in the video, as she's currently expecting kits, which is another thing he's very much looking forward to. I also noticed this now, I gave him the wrong scars. He he no longer has those scars on his tail. Those were not his actual scars. That's my bad. Okay, so I don't think I explained this well enough. When I originally drew his scars last year, it didn't tell me what his scars were, so I kind of just improv'd where I thought the scars would be, because that's kind of the scarring that all of them that have gotten tail injuries have had. But then when he did actually recover and get scarred, he got a different kind of scar. He got the kind of scar that I did give him, like at the base of his tail, but then I forgot the one on his leg. So that's what I meant by that. So just ignore the scarring lower on his tail. Next up is Flex Wing, which I'm just going to go ahead and rant about this really quickly. I have never liked his design. I could just never get his design right. He always looked kind of weird every time I drew him. I finally actually like his design. It's not the best design I could have given him, but it's better than the other two previous designs, so I'm happy with this. Flexwin spent majority of the year just focusing on teaching his new apprentice, who we'll talk about in more depth later, but he was really proud of her when she became a warrior. He spent so much time focusing on getting her through training because of just how many warriors we lost last year and him not wanting her to meet their same fate. Next up we have Turtle Swan, who spent the majority of the year just helping out wherever he can. When he was needed, he'd be there, but if he wasn't, he was mostly in the den. This year's bounty of heather was pretty full, and he decided to keep a stalk of it tucked behind his ear. Next up is Lizard Feather, and I'll be honest, I don't have any notes on her. I'm working on a better way of taking notes, I promise, but the way I'm currently taking them, it does mean that with how many cats we have, a lot of them actually don't get any notes. For the most part, I never take this as they did nothing during the game, because obviously they did do stuff. They went out on patrols and didn't get hurt. They had successful hunting trips. They didn't cause the clan any trouble, which means they're succeeding pretty good in being a warrior. And with Lizard Feather in particular, I think she might still be a little bit in shock of what happened. After all, she did kind of lose a part of her tail. At least that's how I'm saying it. In game, for the most part, she has most of her tail. But with how long her injury truly lasted, and to the extent of just how bad it had gotten, I do believe they would have realistically had to have taken at least a portion of her tail off, which is why she no longer has the tip of her tail. Logically should not affect a cat's sense of balance too much, but it would still throw her off. And also, it's just a major life change. Not to mention, in a way, it's kind of like she's being proven exactly what she told her sister. Recklessness will get you hurt. Next up, we have the cat I misread the most. I had been picturing Auburn Rise as this overly confident Tom who thought he belonged anywhere and would hold his head high no matter what. I pictured him as kind of arrogant and cocky, when in truth, he's nothing but. On multiple occasions, he was found wondering to himself why it was so difficult to talk to his other clanmates, and trying to figure out ways where he could relate to them more. And honestly, that's one of the most relatable things I've seen in this game. I still picture him as kind of the arrogant and cocky type, but not the true arrogance. More like someone who tries to use it to cover up just how confused he is about everyone around him. He doesn't want to be arrogant, but it's his way of trying to connect to people. Or cats. It could also be a case that he doesn't really understand, or at least didn't understand, that clans aren't like this. He doesn't come from a place that clans are well known, and the first clan he ever met quite literally attacked him for no reason other than standing there. So it makes sense he would picture most clans as arrogant and cocky and a place where stepping on people might get you power. Of course, he doesn't want to step on anyone, and that's why he hasn't. He doesn't want to get hurt just as much as he doesn't want to hurt others. So, I think now that he's finally realized that that's not the case, we might see another side of him. And next up is our father, who I also kind of misread. Flutterheart is actually cunning. I don't know why I pictured him as such a nervous cat. Maybe I just... I don't know. I think I just thought that because it kind of fit with the story I wanted to go with. But because of this, I'm having to change it up a bit. I'm probably saying that he was only skittish because of the new place and how he didn't really understand the pecking order of the clan. Which I also haven't quite figured out whether or not he was from a clan or if he was more of just a group of rogues, or maybe just his mate and his kits. I can't remember what I said originally. I think I just said it was his mate and his kits, and then they all got separated. But yes, he actually didn't do much this year either. He did get sick with white cough, but luckily recovered. Next up is Jackal, a new face in the clan. But because I didn't realize this was in frame, I'm going to go ahead and just tell y'all, don't get attached to him, if you can tell from the photo. Jackal was found on the border of Bat Clan, and I believe might have been in a similar case to Auburnrise. His pelt was torn, and he claims to have been from a mountain far off, but his ancestors had led him to the clan. He was a very wise cat and a relatively good hunter, sustaining himself for months before making it to the clan. The clan was happy to welcome him. They actually grew very fond of him very quickly, and so did I. He seemed like a giant fluff ball of a cat that was also like an old man in a young cat's body. I don't really know how to explain it, but he was adorable, and I wanted his design to be kind of Tiger Star-ish, even though Tiger Star isn't adorable. I don't know, I felt like that kind of fit, like the big fluffy mane that Tiger Star is often described to have. I wanted to give him that, but it didn't really work out, and I couldn't get the right colors for him, so he's probably going to look very different in the next episode. Next up is Flutterheart's son. It's honestly kind of surprising there's only ever like one cat in between these two, but honestly they are pretty close in age. Dokelash was extremely respectful this year, mostly just sticking to himself and hanging out with Baypelt. Also, side note, I decided to get rid of the detail of the random gray patch on his hind legs. I didn't really like that. I don't remember why I added that. I think because I thought his pelt was just too plain, but yeah, I don't like that. I prefer him without it. So I got sidetracked there. Back to what I was talking about. He spent most of the year just hanging out with Bay Pelt and grieving our lost warriors. Also, I forgot to color his tail. Goodness, I was a mess. I don't even think we've reached the point where I started getting lazy. Speaking of Bay Pelt, she's up next. I don't have much down for her except this one very interesting detail. She spent a lot of time in the nursery. She's not expecting kids, as far as we know, but she kept going over there and just hanging out, helping out with the queens, and just whatever they needed, she would go get. I honestly think it's really cute and maybe a sign she wants kids in the future, or at least just wants to take care of the clan in a sort of motherly way. These next three were kind of the hardest to draw because I kept thinking there should have been 4 of them. We start off with Slumber Prance, who got her pelt torn by a wolverine. Her pelt healed without any problems, and she quickly got back to work, which is exactly how she coped with her brother's death, by throwing herself so deeply into her work that almost no one could get her to just relax. Now, on the other hand, Hail Dust, who refused to do anything. The battle in which Bud Chase died in was not a big, huge battle, necessarily. The whole clan was not there, but Hail Dust was. Him, Garnet, and Bud Chase were among the warriors, and he saw what happened. When they tried to get near Bud Chase after the fight, he hissed and yelled at them all to get back and not to dare touch his brother. He spent a long time trying to convince them just to help him to go get Brightcrest, that he would be okay, and is still snapping at a lot of people. And the last of the litter, Sage Dawn. She has a similar coping strategy to Slumber Prance. She threw herself into work, helping out wherever she can, and just trying to take her mind off of everything that was happening. She particularly focused on taking care of their mother. Next up are I want to call them the twins, but you'll see why I don't want to call them that in just a moment. But they are being drawn technically together, and neither of them really did too much this year. We have Ghost Merc and Droplet Seed. Droplet Seed started the year off with white cough and luckily recovered without any issues, while her sister also did the same. In fact, they recovered and got sick at the exact same time, I'm now realizing. That's honestly kind of strange, but the getting sick at the same time makes sense. After all, they're sisters and were around each other so much. But there was another detail I found a bit strange. Ghostmerk was described multiple times to have been questioning her life choices, and I can't help but think this might have something to do with her brother, but that's just me speculating. Alrighty, so our next cat is kind of a strange case, in my opinion. Well, actually, truthfully, the next two cats are kind of strange cases for me. First up is Frozen Gaze. She started off as an apprentice from Bat Clan. What makes her strange is her name. She's frozen, and oftentimes we don't see many cats with the same names as clans, and so I find it funny that she ran to our clan of all. She was mentored by Flexwing, although she was often out wandering around with Garnet, and when she got bitten by something unseen in the grass. Luckily, it didn't cause her any harm. She also made a friend in Magpie Clan before becoming a warrior, honored for her insight. She's also a cat that I don't quite think fits her name too well, but it was honestly too interesting to change. Since her eyes are like a mossy green color, I don't really see where Frozen Gaze came from, but I don't make the rules. And next up is a very good friend of Frozen Gaze, Snowy Ear. She is also an apprentice from Bat Clan who fled to the clan from a tyrannical leader, as she put it. Noticeably, Frozen Gaze seemed to flinch at this comment, but didn't make anything to say that it was wrong. The clan believes that it was the same reason Frozen Gaze left, but she refuses to talk about just how bad Bat Clan had gotten during the war. Meanwhile, Snowy Ear has no problems just blatantly outing the entire clan for all of the terrible things they've done. On a good note, once the war came to an end, we did become allies with Bat Clan, but these two newly made warriors decided to stay with us. Next up is the last of our warriors, just barely. He was a former kitty pet, at least that's what the clan kind of assumes. He hasn't said anything about where he past lived. He seems to be trying to hint that he was a loner, but he's not doing a very good job at it, and most of the clan assumes he's once lived with two legs, especially with what he chose as his name, Comfy Spot. The clan found him waiting at the border, and when he asked to join a polite tone, they decided to give him a chance. It's said that he wandered around a lot, but finally found someone worth staying for. The clan has suspicions that it's one of the two cats before him. The next three cats can only really be talked about together. These are Ember's children, or the children Nightrun and Grander adopted. The thing about them is they are completely identical. There is only one thing that differentiates them, and that's their eye color. Other than that, they are all copy and paste photos of their father. It's honestly kind of eerie. I had thought about designing them in a way that gave them very clear differences, but I decided I kind of wanted to play into just how much they look alike. We'll start off with the one furthest to the left, Shatterpaw. When he became an apprentice, he sat there hoping that Ember was watching somewhere far off in StarClan, but also started wondering what lies beyond the distant horizon soon after. But this was all before Grander's death. After her death, he became very withdrawn from most of the clan. Truth be told, most of the kids did. They only really ever talked to Nightrun from this point on. But now, they're slowly getting more active. Shatterpaw is currently being mentored by Flutterheart, and he's doing his best, and oftentimes, however, does go out with other warriors so that he can get some help teaching this apprentice. Next up, the one in the middle, Flickerpaw. He's currently being mentored by Haildusk, which means his mentor is just a bit snappy. But truth be told, it's the best kind of learning he can get. It's how he learns best is a bit of strictness, and although it does kind of hurt Haildusk to be this mean, understanding that he is an apprentice, he also has started seeing that it's actually helping. Weirdly enough, Frecklepaw didn't feel like he had the right to mourn Grander and sat longingly staring at her vigil. And the last of the siblings, Echo Paw. His apprentice ceremony was a bit unconventional. Right before his mentor could be announced, he stood and announced that he wanted Douklash to be his mentor. They tried telling him that wasn't quite how it worked, but Auburn decided that if he was that determined, then go for it. And now we've made it to the nursery, where Nightrun herself lies, and her 3 kits. Nightrun was ecstatic to be able to tell the clan about her and Grander's relationship, and was even happier when they found the triplets. But when Garnet died, shortly after finding these 3 kits, she didn't quite know what she was going to do, and took a long time sitting at Grander's vigil, just hoping to get some answers. And this is very sad, but the only notes I have on the kittens are the notes of what they did reacting to Grander's death. Hope Kit, our strangely peaceful kitten in the drawing, missed the warmth Grander brought and was crawling around the nursery searching for her. While Rock Kit actually attended the vigil but left early, both not understanding what was going on and also understanding that, well, someone was gone, and that was someone he cared about. And then lastly, Randall Kit was in denial, refusing to believe that Grander was gone at all. And now we have our final 2 cats, the first of which is Cloud Mask's, God, that's hard to say, Cloud Mask's mate. That sounds like I'm saying it wrong, Garnet. Surprisingly, at the beginning of the year, she actually rejected him, but then quickly realized that it was more of just like I panicked and said the wrong thing, and she did go up to him later and explain this, and hence they are now mates. It was only a few months later when Bud Chase died, and she was completely inconsolable. Not even her other kits could help her, and she believed that she was the sole purpose behind her son's death. And you might be wondering who this kit is on her back. Well, no, this is not her biological son, and she's technically not adopted him either. Droplet Seed found a kitten all by himself and brought him to the clan, where Garnet started to take care of him. His name is Drizzle Kit. He's kind of impulsive, but very confident, hence why he had no problem just climbing on top of this random queen and just sitting down. He doesn't really care, and he's an adorable little fluff ball. And that will also be where we end off the video for today. It's a much longer video than what I am used to posting. At least in my opinion, it feels like it's been forever. And this took me a ridiculously long amount of time. And I can go ahead and tell you that episode 5 is going to be vastly different from all the other previous videos on how I do it. But it will be changing and helping with how I do videos, or hopefully, that's the plan, how I do videos in the future. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and see y'all next time. Bye!